Good evening. Welcome to the Toon Review. And myself and Stato are going to look at the links between Newcastle United and the recent links to Bournemouth and Boscombe. Not Bournemouth and Boscombe, are they? AFC Bournemouth, that's better. Football teams, players, which is kind of creating a bit of a stir on social media with disgruntled fans thinking we're not aiming high enough. But before we go any further, I do have a message from Paul, actually. He wanted you to know that he's really struggling with his illness at the minute. This is why he's not on any of the lives. He's also got some stuff behind the scenes with family and stuff. But he's aiming to be back Thursday night for the next live that we do. I guess it's going to be the preview for the Bournemouth game itself. So that's where Paul is. So send him your well wishes. He'll be back with us soon, but he is struggling at the minute with his illness and also a few things behind the scenes. So we all wish and pray that he recovers quickly. We'll have him back with us as soon as possible, and hopefully Thursday, as he says. But if you are new to the channel also, this is another bit of spiel we always give. Hit that subscribe button because we are on the way to 28,000 subscribers. We've motored up the league table of Newcastle United podcasts, and we're trying to get higher and higher. Also, leave a like on the video, hit that thumbs up, and you become a member by clicking the join button, which is a paid subscription. And also, you can donate using the super chat option, which is by clicking the $sign below within the chat there. So thanks for all that. All that's done. How are you, Stato?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad indeed. Pretty optimistic. I'm quite happy with all things NUFC at the moment. I liked all the community stuff today from Alan Shearer, and I'm really sorry I actually forgot the guy's name, but I watched the video and I really enjoyed it. But the guy who does the community stuff, who's been made the captain of the community for NUFC, and he got the mural. That was really cool. It's quite positive. I like the pancake video today. That was cute. Got the women's team involved, the men's team. I loved the unity there. That was really nice. Just pretty positive. It's good.
Excellent. So we'll do a few comments before we get into the crux of the show. We've got a good evening from Ethan, likes NUFC. A good evening to Ethan. Vincent N says, more cherries links, not very inspiring, is it? Well, we're going to try and go into that, deep delve into it, and maybe you'll feel a bit different after the show. Who knows? Even to you, poor man. The Clon lad said, evening all. Are we bringing Bournemouth to Wilson and Ritchie? Interesting question. Chippers, evening to you. Clon goes on to say, Lloyd Kelly on a free would take, no way billing if he's J7 replacement. Well, he may not be. He may be an addition. You don't know. Peter McCarthy says, Kelly on a free would be a good deal. Can cover left back and centre half, so why are we spending 30 million on Hall? Doesn't even play. Well, another question for us to answer later, I guess. Good evening to Paul, and to Tom, and to David Smith, and to Carl, and to Paul Tully, also to Trulls, Fuggy Crack. Who else have we got here? Matty Kelly, Ian Fleming, Metal Mohan, Judy J is also here with us tonight. Paul Gardner, Pete Proudlock's also in, and Geordie Rick. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Who else we've got that's new that I haven't seen as yet? Nick Thornton, good evening to you, my friend. And also Scotty Vivs. And George Eaton, Julian Watson, all in the chat. Mick J, he says, what's happening? Well, we'll find out. Leon Boyle, good evening to you. Tony Douglas, Darren Cox, Randall Nichols, Spike Milligan, good evening to you, my friend. PL Rich. And I think that's about it. As Peel O'Keefe, of course. And Colin Royals and Peter Birdfjord. Cynical Jim. God, there's loads of grumpy farts. That's an interesting one. He says, best wishes to you, Paul, and the family. And everyone hit the like button to help the channel out, that show you appreciation for all the hard work. Thanks very much, mate. Very much appreciated. Paul Marsh says, all the best, Paul. Evening to Blenchy. Michael Ellison, KB. He says, a very good evening. Gentlemen, Paul, our deep thoughts are in love with you and your family. God bless. That's very kind of you, sir. Looney Toon says, Barcelona have transfer listed Rafinha. Well, that's one we've looked at before, Sato, hasn't he? We've looked at him a few times in the transfer shows, Rafinha.
I just can't see it. I feel like it's just somebody that would just go and slot in at Man City randomly, or he's a great player, and we could use him. I don't know. We'll see if any links pop up. We'll analyze how likely it is and whether it would still be a good fit.
Yeah, I'm guessing too much money, isn't it? It could be with wages and what have you. And they'd want a fee from him as well. Jan says, no to these Bournemouth players. To be honest, we should do a lot better. Well, we're going to do a deep dive and see if they fit in or not. Happy Shrove Tuesday to you, Michael. I hope you all had your pancakes. I've not had any, strangely enough. I like coffee. Good evening to you. Dylan Carlisle, Darren Cox. I've already said him, I think. Andy K. Good evening to you, my friend. Ron Peacock, Fishing with Jay, Brian Hall, and lots of others. David Brewis is also there, joining Jester TV. And the never-ending list. Night of Knee Gaming. Right, so the links are with Lloyd Kelly and Philip Billing. They're the ones we've seen so far. Added to, in the transfer window, a little link with Dominic Solanke. So there are a few Bournemouth links, Stato. And is it a place of better the devil you know than better the ones you don't? I'm not sure. What have we got lined up with the kind of respects to Bournemouth, I guess? Who's the first player we're going to look at?
So we'll start with Lloyd Kelly.
Yeah, he's a good player.
With the defender. I think I'm going to open this by saying, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me, which is fine. I commented this to Craig Hope the other day as well, because he implied, and a lot of others are implying, whenever we make a purchase, it seems to fit into two categories. Either it's the first one of it needs to be an upgrade on a starting 11 player, or it needs to be a youth prospect for the future. And there doesn't seem to be any other middle ground for a lot of people, and it has to be one of those two options. I would pose that there's a third option to that, and that is we can bring in a player, if the value's right and it makes sense, to improve the overall quality of the bottom end of the squad. You don't have to improve from the top down. You can improve from the bottom up and the top down.
Yep.
Because only signing first-team players is very expensive, and it means that we're going to be left with players that we've got now that are deemed not good enough. So let's say we have another summer where we go and spend really big on two more players. One gets injured for the whole season. Think of what's just happened to Toon Army. The overall squad quality has improved marginally, barely anything. So my point is, I think we should also try and just throw a little mix into it where we're improving on the bottom end of the squad as well, if possible, i.e. your Dummets, your Matt Riches, your Kraft, even though he's been okay. Players like that at the back end of the squad is improve on them as well. Not completely. We can't exclusively do that. Otherwise, you will plateau out and you will just have an average squad. I agree. That can't be your only approach. Absolutely bang on. But can we not find this middle ground where we bring in really good first teamers, but also improve the back end of the squad and also bring in youth prospects? I feel like we need a combination of those three to make this project work. Otherwise, I feel like we're going to stunt the growth a little bit if we just buy a Toon Army and an Isak and we only stick to those kinds of signings. It doesn't all have to be that way. I don't know how you feel about it, Billy, but that's basically the premise of this show, in my opinion.
I'm 100% with you. I think squad depth is as important as squad quality. People are poo-pooing the Philip Billing kind of link. Just think what Philip Billing could do for this squad right now, this minute in time, right now. He'd be an asset, a massive asset as well. Although he's suspended, so this minute, probably not, but you get my drift. So squad depth is as important as squad quality, absolutely. And the higher the quality of the depth, I guess, the better your squad is. So, yeah, Philip Billings, Lloyd Kelly, Dominic Solanke. Okay, they might cost too much money for what we want them for, but, negotiations are there for that thing, but they would improve the squad depth massively and therefore improve the quality of the squad. So I'm 100% with that. We've got a £2 super chat from Shane Martin. He says, good evening. Love the show. Good squad players. Indeed. Thanks for that, Shane. Very much appreciated. So who are we going to look at first then? Who's first on the list then?
We'll look at Lloyd.
Yeah, we'll look at Lloyd because, Lloyd Kelly's he's young, isn't he? He's not very old, is he? Is he 23, 24? I think he's that old, isn't he?
25 now.
Oh, only 25.
Do you want me to back it up?
Yeah, I'll go do it if you want. Make it.
Cool. So, Lloyd Kelly. So, obviously, a lot of people stating that he's not necessarily the best choice. I agree. He's not the best choice. If we want another Botman or that level, he's not that. Is he good? yes, he's good technical quality. He's of a good age. He's got a good amount of experience. He's left-footed, which gives us something. Well, I say gives us something a bit different. I get that most players on that side are left-footed anyway, but it's useful to have a left footer in the squad. Not the tallest, but his physicality is fine. He would be free as well, and I would imagine his wage demands wouldn't be outrageous. I don't think we'd have to give him that target wages of 100 grand. I would like to think, and it's somebody that is a decent age profile. Again, if you're losing somebody out the back end of the squad in Paul Dummett, how old is Paul Dummett? How old's Paul at the moment? What, 31?
Maybe 32. Some that neck of the woods, though. Yeah,
we can check. Paul Dummett is. He is 32 right now. So, yeah, for free, should we replace a 32-year-old Dummett with a 25-year-old Lloyd Kelly? If we put it in that context, hell yeah, that's a great signing. It improves the bottom end of the squad. There is potential sell-on value in there as well. If in 2 to 3 years, absolutely, if we want to sign more Botmans and this guy hasn't progressed to where we need him at that point, we can sell him. He'll be, he'd have been in a good squad playing well. There would be some sell-on value there. So I feel like it's good in terms of squad depth, a bump in quality for the overall squad. He knows the league. I just think it's a no-brainer. I really do think it's a no-brainer, and there's sell-on value in the future for the FFB health of the club. It would be really decent in that regard. So if we scroll down, we'll have a look at some data just to prove a few bits. He's only played 900 minutes this season, so there are a couple of injury concerns over Lloyd Kelly. For people who've stated that, yeah, you're absolutely right. He's not a sure thing injury-wise. We'll have a look at it on transfer marks. You could be spot on. So if we scroll down and have a look at him versus fullbacks, because he does very much kind of do a Dan Burn kind of thing when he plays, and that he kind of plays as a wide centre half. So as a centre back versus as a fullback. So the ball progression goes through the roof as a centre half, shot creating actions. It drops off as a fullback. Again, he's not had the greatest season on paper. It doesn't look incredible, albeit Bournemouth defensively are not the best team. They're doing a lot better in terms of structure and offensive stuff. Yeah, I get that those stats don't look super green. I appreciate that, but it is about context. And I've got him next to Dan Burn. Something I wanted to show people is I don't normally do this, but I'm going to go and show you more detailed statistics on FBref. We're going to scroll down and we're going to look at some really nerdy things. So we're going to go into his passing data. So this is specifically his passing. So we've got passes completed medium, passes attempted medium, and then you've got the longs there as well. The passes completed long. You've got passes into the final third, which are all really important things for how we want to play. We want people that are competent at progressing the ball, that are tidy with it, fairly physical. And he's okay with his passing metrics here. They're not bad. He's not attempting that many short passes, to be honest. If we go and have a look at Dan Burn's version of the same thing, if we go and look at passing, this is Dan Burn's version of it. So his medium passes are just above average and his long passes are poor. And his passes into the final third is a lot lower than what Lloyd Kelly's is. So in terms of general ball progression as well, and this is something we do see with Dan Burn, is when he receives the ball out wide, he struggles with ball progression. It's not one of his major strengths, and it would just add a slightly different thing to our game. I think he's got a different skill set, and I think he can massively improve as a player as well. He is young. Somebody who's a centre half / this is a very strange new role that people have kind of. It is quite a new thing. Obviously, the whole thing was the inverted fullbacks with the right backs with Trent and all of that. And then the new thing in the last few years has been your big physical centre halves going out into fullback positions. We've done it with Dan Burn. Pep does it with a lot of his centre halves. He plays with 4 centre halves. Yeah. So I think Lloyd Kelly has potential. It's definitely not a sure thing at all. Well, this is Dan Burn. We don't want to see Dan Burn. Is it a sure thing? Absolutely not. Could it be decent on a free? Yes, I think it absolutely could be. So if we're looking to improve the bottom end of the squad as a free transfer, See, people saying we were scouting and signing better players under Ashley. I don't understand what's wrong with Lloyd Kelly. What's wrong with replacing a 25-year-old Lloyd Kelly with a 32-year-old Paul Dummett? I think it makes sense to have a blend of that. We can't make this every signing because that wouldn't work, because then you definitely do average out the quality of the squad. I don't think it's a terrible idea. Again, his contract is up, so he's got 10 caps for England under 21 as well. He's flexible. He can play either side in the centre, and he plays out wide. People saying Alex Murphy, yeah, but this guy's got 7 years' experience on Alex Murphy. That's the difference, maybe more than that. And current market value 16, possibly up to 18 million, maybe more if we can get him playing better. There's sell-on value there as well. So let's have a look at the injuries, because I know that's definitely something that people want to see.
Let's just do the super chat from George, and you can answer the question at the same time. $4.99 from George too. Thanks, George. He says, Stato, if we get those players and they are replacements to the back end of the squad, then that is a good plan. It's not a question, it's a statement. Yeah, I agree with that, George, and basically agreeing with what Stato says. Thanks for that, George. Very much appreciated. Go on, carry on, Stato.
So injuries, it's not perfect. Little niggles here and there of what. So the most recent one was the 22-23 season last season, which we was out for 100 days with an ankle injury for the 11 games. That's not great. Although they don't appear to have updated anything for this year. Bits here and there of a month. That was a long one. So yeah, injuries aren't perfect. To be honest, it's something would have to be assessed. A few people saying he isn't good enough. I mean, is he better than Paul Dummett? That's the question you need to answer. If he's improving the back end of the squad.
Some pretty high quality Serie A teams have been looking at him, haven't they? It's not like just us. Is it Inter Milan or AC Milan we're looking at him? Someone like that.
I haven't seen the links personally, but it's possible. But yeah, for people who are completely shutting down this as an option, I personally don't see what the issue is with improving the back end of the squad. You need more options defensively. Obviously, Matt Ritchie is a last resort as a fullback. Paul Dummett is a centre-half/fullback. Both of those are at the end of their contracts. We need to. We can't replace. We've got 5, potentially 6 people going. We can't buy 6 superstars. We can't do that. And to be completely honest with you, everyone, he's not shown that much faith in the youth academy players. So it's not like he's about to promote 5 or 6 youth players, because he's not really given them much of a look in, because they're obviously not at the quality necessary at the moment, or yet. I'll say yet. I think that's fair. So if we need to bring in 6 players, we can't afford 6 more Tonales in various positions across the pitch. It's just ridiculous. What else do you do then? For people saying he's not good enough, all right, where do we go? And you can't just give me a bunch of amazing players as suggestions. We can't drop 250 million in the summer. There has to be a compromise somewhere. If we're going to slowly progress this project, there has to be a compromise. You've got to be able to bring in players that aren't superstars.
100%. And Lloyd Kelly has the potential to become maybe not a superstar, but certainly a very, very good Premier League player. And he has been a very good Premier League player already for Bournemouth in the games he's played. Clonlad says, is Alex Murphy v Lloyd Kelly comparison stats? Absolutely not. Alex Murphy, has he played any Premier League minutes? I don't think he's played any, has he?
He hasn't played enough minutes to get data yet. So not data that we would have access to. No. It would be all internal stuff.
And Santos has been on the pancake for the look of it. Jordy Vick says, looking at the stats, he isn't good enough for a backup player. I'm not sure. He clearly is, because the eye test works with him as well. I mean, I've watched Lloyd Kelly on countless occasions, and he's a solid defender. No doubt about it.
We do need to reduce the age profile of the squad as well. I mean, it's no secret that our starting lineup against Forest had an average age of 28.4, and we had a 17-year-old in the starting lineup. That's bananas.
Yeah,
we do need to lower the general age of that squad, because it's too high. That's why every transfer recently has been 23, 23, 23, 24, 20, because we need to bring that down.
Add to that Gordon's early 20s, and so there were some aging players in that. What's young Murphy, left or right foot? He's left-footed, Paul. King Hoddle says, good evening. He can't be 68 kilograms, maybe when he was 14.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. I think, he'll be more than that. At 5'11 and a half, 6 foot, he'll be more than 68 kilos.
Pilkey's bod says stats suggest he's not much of an improvement on Dummett. Well,
where are you finding Dummett stats from?
Reach for the stars, says Toontown Deck. He isn't good enough, says Nick.
On what metric? Can you categorically tell me that he's better than Matt Ritchie and Paul Dummett in defensive positions right now?
Paul says next season Bird will be covered for CB, but we need another 2 centre backs to cover injuries. Yeah, especially if Lascelles goes as well. Although there are rumours that he may be looking at a new 2-year contract, but whether that comes to fruition or not, who knows? Dylan says, I agree, Stato. At first, I didn't believe this would be a good signing. After your view, I think that he would be a good signing as a free agent. What is he? He's not costing anything either, is he?
Yeah, look, if there were rumours going around that we were going to pay 15 million for this lad, I would completely agree with all of you. Hell yeah, not a chance. He's a good player, but he's not. We can't be dropping that kind of change on someone. If we need a bit more of a quality guarantee, and I get that that's not there. He's okay. He's a good player, but he's the right age profile. He can improve. He's left-footed. He's got experience. It's fine. I'm not paying decent money for him. So, but it's a free transfer, guys. So for people who aren't sure, it's free. We can make a return on him. And he'll make more appearances than Ritchie and Dummett.
Niall confirms it was AC Milan that were linked with him, and also Spurs, according to King Hoddle. Good on the free, says Darren. Joe Linton says Burn would be Dummett's replacement and Kelly would be Burns' replacement, not the other way around. Well,
look, I mean, there's got to be right. So there's a bunch of positions that people want improvements in, right? People want a new right wing. A lot of people want a better Miggy in that position. A lot of people want a 6, a defensive midfielder to release Bruno. And I would imagine that most people want those 2 to be good signings, high quality signings, which are going to be costly. So that's 2 big ones. A striker to obviously compete as a third choice or step in for obviously Callum Wilson aging. We don't know what's going on there. So that's 3 positions that ideally we'd want reasonably good quality in to upgrade the first 11. That's 3. So at what point do we compromise? Not everybody can be a superstar in that window. There's going to have to be a compromise. I agree with you. I'd love everybody to just be amazing, but you can't do that. And we've got Matt Ritchie and Paul Dummett going, potentially Kraft as well. Hayden isn't permanently gone because he's still under contract. Hendrick's gone as well. We've got loads of players just going to disappear. We need to replace that in the squad. Because at the moment, the only midfielder he's promoted through that's not Lewis Miley is Travis Hearns, who's not played. So, we need some more players. Otherwise, we're going to have a tiny squad. So, unless you guys want to park the winger for a season and we'll keep Miggy and keep everyone that people have been frustrated with, we'll keep all of them and we'll just get an absolutely incredible left back / left-sided centre-half then to compete with Botman and Bird. But, there has to be a compromise at some point, surely.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just rambling now, but I feel like it's a fair point. Like, I agree with everyone in that he might not be the right answer, but he's free, and I think he's an upgrade. There you go. Foxy's got a good point there, to be fair.
Kelly on a free it can't complain really, but it depends on his wage demands and signing on fee interest from Liverpool, Milan, Juve, German clubs, which puts him in a strong position to demand silly wages. Yes, that's another thing, isn't it? As a free, he will be popular. Yeah, lots of clubs. He's a quality player. There's no doubt about it, and yet people are turning their nose about it. I don't understand it.
As soon as somebody starts offering 100, we'll walk away from this anyway, straight away. So
there's lots of interest in him, yet some of our fans don't think he's good enough for us. There you go. It's strange. Mark Singleton, who's a Bournemouth supporter, he's a good player. I'll see him most times he plays at Bournemouth. Yeah, he's a good player, Lloyd Kelly. There's no doubt about it. Just joined live for once. Still have to do this. We'll have to skip to the beginning. Cut was the best. Keen for this one. Big up, lads. Thanks, mate. Paul Emery says, I think he's a decent signing for backup for Botman, but will not be filled from the centre-back covering at full-back. Well, he's not your archetypal centre-half, is he, at 5'11"? I mean, he is quick. That's one of his qualities. He's got pace about him. He's not one of your archetypal massive signing, kind of, you know what I mean?
His aerial duels rate is pretty good.
Yeah.
Clearances as a centre-half, not great.
So much. No. Andy Forster, I quite like it, but why would he come to us knowing that he's going to be a fringe player at best? He's 26, surely he'd want first team football. I would at 26. Well, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, but if he wants first team football, he would have to drop a level because he's not good enough. He's not good enough to displace Botman. He would be good enough to challenge, to be a rotation player or to challenge as a strong, wide fullback if we're going to keep this kind of tactic going where we drop into a back three and the fullback has to also be kind of a centre half and be, it works in that regard. And the fact he's left footed, because yeah.
Not every player we sign could be a marquee signing. Squad depth and development takes time and pragmatism, says No Leopard. Yep, absolutely, 100%. Forget squad players for now. What's the absolute minimum we need for the first team? Striker, number 6, left back, right wing. I don't think we need a left back as such because I think Lewis Hall will certainly be the left back at some point in the near future. Whether that's this season or not, I don't know. But Ian Fleming said he would take Kelly and free. I think one of us would. I'd keep one of Lascelles or Kraft. I think you might be seeing both of them. It depends if Lascelles accepts. He might think he wants a bigger contract.
Well, if Lascelles leaves as well, there you go. We might end up losing Dummett, Ritchie, Lascelles, and Kraft all in the same summer. That's 4 players who play defensive positions, all gone immediately. What do we do there? What would the suggestion be?
I'm sure we should get rid of our over 30 players, about 8 of them, and get 3 top players in and a few Lloyd Kellys.
For people that aren't okay with this, right? So we lose those 4 players, right? We lose Lascelles, Kraft. Who else are we losing? Dummett, Ritchie. 4 players, 3 of which are main defenders, and Ritchie is kind of he has played defender. What's your plan then? For people who don't agree with this, pop it in a comment. What would the plan be? If you want to spend big on a right wing and a 6 and a this and a that and a forward, what do we also do to replace 4 departing defenders? Like that's a lot of holes to plug.
Let's not forget that Fabian Scher's not very young either. He can't keep going forever. So don't have Dummett stats, Alex, but I've always pointless chat if nobody's allowed an opinion without being condescending. No one's being condescending, Pilkey's bod. Yeah, that's a strange comment. No need for it, really.
If you think that Dummett is better than Lloyd Kelly, then fine, you're allowed that opinion. I don't think he is.
No,
I think Lloyd Kelly is currently better than Paul Dummett.
Paul says the big money needs to be on the right winger and striker. The positions can be done much cheaper for me. Well, if we're going to buy number 6, I think they're quite expensive as well, especially quality ones. No point buying a not very good one because it's a really responsible position, isn't it? Can we talk about some better players that we will never sign?
Yeah, you can't win. When we look at unrealistic ones, but we're linked with them, that's a problem. But then we're looking at, it's just players. And by the way, guys, I haven't just constructed this show out of thin air. We've been linked with these players. So that's why we have to talk about it.
We've got another super chat from Chippers who says, I can't understand people saying no to a free transfer for a player. We can't spend massive money and we still will have FFP restrictions in the summer. We need a squad, something we have not had. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And you're seeing that now with the injuries. I mean, having to play a 17-year-old in midfield, we need squad depth. There's no doubt about that. Whether it be
a lot of people saying Kraft is probably staying. I haven't seen that, but if he said it in an interview, then fine. Okay, fine. Three holes to plug. There's still more we need to do.
Yeah. Tom says no team has 25 superstars in their squad. Absolutely. Fair points well made to that athlete. Ab says signings like this would simply show how hamstrung we are by FFP. No way we move to the next level with these players.
Yeah, but it wouldn't only be these players. That's the whole point. It would be more Tonali's and Isak's with a sprinkling of sorting out the bottom end of the squad. It's not one or the other. We can do all of these things at the same time.
The thing is, the club wouldn't let anyone know who we were after. The press always bullshit. Well, this is just links from the press, I guess. So, yeah, obviously we're not in the know. Nobody is, even people that pretend they are. Tino should be left back next season if Tripp stays. He's a right back, isn't he? He's a right-footed player. You want a specialist left back for most of the time. But as cover, fine. Maybe Lloyd Kelly's a smoke screen. Christ, all this bad words for Lloyd Kelly. We haven't even come on to the other player yet.
Sure,
he wouldn't get first team at Liverpool or Milan. No, he wouldn't, but he'd be a good squad member there, wouldn't he? He'd be getting games for Liverpool this season. 100% he would. With Robertson being out so long, he'd have had definite games for Liverpool this season. Yeah, let's go on to the next one. Let's go on to
Woo.
People
more cherries.
Yeah, more cherries.
So this one I'm less convinced about because we'd have to pay for him. And I don't like paying for players. I'd love if we could get everyone on a free transfer. I'm a little bit more frustrated that we haven't utilised the free transfer market more since Eddie Howe, since the takeover, ideally, because I think there have been some really interesting pickups that we've missed out on. And I think it would help if we get the right one in, it would help accelerate the project because they're free. Fine, signing on fees and slightly higher wages, but that's besides the point. They're still cheaper than they would be if compared to if you had to actually go and pay for them. So Philip Billing. Nobody likes this one because I think there is a general acceptance that if this happens, Joe Linton isn't with us anymore. I think that's the kind of main thought of everyone. I don't think we go for somebody like him if everybody stays midfielder wise. So I agree with everyone else. I think if Joe Linton goes, he's such an important player that we would need to replace him with somebody of decent quality. I don't think Philip Billing is enough of I don't think it would plug the hole sufficiently, to be completely honest. I think Philip Billing is a good player. The left-footed aspect of this would definitely give us some alternatives in the way we could play. He's 6'3", he's strong, he's combative, he's in the right position. He had a great goal-scoring year last season. Wages are moderate, but again, he's contracted until 2027. We'd have to pay quite a lot of cheese to get him. Although he's not playing too much at the moment. He's on 1,200 minutes with 4 goal contributions this year, 20 appearances. So he's still got a fair amount in there. I think he's a good player. He's a really good player. And I'm probably going to upset King Hoddle here. I feel like this is more of a Spurs player than an us player. I don't think he would be good enough to fill the hole of Joe Linton, to be completely honest. I would prefer a slightly better quality player. However, I do really like him. I think he's decent. The age as well. By the end of the season, he's going to be 28.
I think he's a better defensive player than Joe Linton.
Yeah, I think he's probably got a little bit more. Joe Linton can get caught stepping up a little bit, as our entire midfield, all of them do. But Joe Linton does get caught sometimes because he's like, "Oh, ball, let's go break people," and just steps, and he needs to stay in his position.
But what we'll say about him is, I think he's the only player I've ever seen who's dominated Joe Linton for the midfield position, which was at St James last season. He completely isolated him out of the game.
Yeah, so he does have qualities. He is very good. He can play that kind of role. I've definitely rattled King Hoddle there. Anyway, yeah, tackles with defensive statistics. So this is him profiling as an attacking midfielder versus a winger. So as you can see, kind of is similar to what Joe Linton's, because Joe Linton kind of is a bit of all of that for us. So passes, tackles. So in terms of Joe Linton's offensive metrics, he's nowhere near. I mean, just to prove a point, if we bring up Joe Linton, let's do that. It's going to make a lot more sense. Go away, Dan Burn. We're trying to search for Big Joe. There he is. So, yeah, very similar ages. We don't have him as an attacking midfielder / winger this year. FB Ref have let us down. Fine, we'll do midfields. So, versus midfielders. Ball progression is not super high. Defensive metrics as a midfielder are still really, really good. Lots of touches in the attacking penalty area. Offensive data is really tidy, but if we look at this versus Joe Linton's, so this is Joe Linton's, ball progression is a lot higher in terms of his dribbling. Success rate's higher. Defensive metrics are marginally higher shot creating actions. So they are very similar. They're both sets of data are based on actually 2,400 minutes. So they are profiling extremely similar. If we compare Philip Billing to midfielders, you've got McTominay and Joe Linton is on that list. Rabiot, Decore, So I'm not quite sure how Dwight McNeil snuck on that list of midfielders.
No, very strange.
Very odd. Yeah, so I get it. I completely get the no, you loan Lo Celso out because you didn't like him. Don't start that nonsense.
Address his point for us before we go any further. I'm sorry, we're in the final year of FFP, so no FFP won't matter next summer as it's the third year, so it doesn't turn over. We're FFP 3 and Kraft was offered a new contract.
I mean, that's not how that works. We just
FFP
lose
never stops, does it?
We lose the last third year and we just gain the new. That's not how that works.
It's rolling, isn't it?
It's a rolling. You forever have the 3 years. You just lose the furthest away one and you gain a new year.
Doesn't end.
And we also spent quite a lot of money. So the thing that will fix it is all the Adidas stuff. And hopefully we can actually sell a player for some form of money at some point. That would be helpful. This is his career to date, if anybody's interested. A lot of experience. You've got... Oh, I forgot he was at Huddersfield in the Prem.
Yeah, he was ratty at Huddersfield, wasn't he? He was one of the ratty column players. He's pretty like that at Bournemouth, to be fair.
So this is what people really liked last year. 34. Oh, God, I've completely... What happened there?
Let's do the super chat while you're looking for that then. Alexander Vallard, $4.99. I think everyone is missing the point. 3 is the best value. We don't know if the system will work for him. Someone's trash may be our treasure. Excellent point.
Yeah, there you go. So last season, 7 goals, 1 assist from midfield, 34 starts, very reliable, always available. And he, again, despite not being used quite as much recently, still on 4 goal contributions. I feel like I'm being really harsh because I feel like the data suggests he's fine. I don't know. I just wouldn't want to pay for him. Because I feel like if we start adding, because I feel like that midfield is already quite good. We've already, with Tonali and Bruno and Joe Linton and the emerging Miley and Anderson, Willock, we've got some cracking midfielders. So I'm really sorry I left Sean Longstaff out of that list. This is the only midfielder I didn't name. But I feel like in that area, I don't know, maybe I'm being mean. I personally would say no, because I think he's just going to cost too much. I mean, what would he cost according to Transfermarkt? So his current rumoured value is 22 million. I don't think we'd get him for anywhere near that. I think they'd quote us 40, 45, maybe more. I think they'd double that. And I just don't think... I think they'd charge us probably what we would... If, unfortunately, we would ever have to get rid of Joe Linton, if it doesn't work, they'd just charge us what we sold Big Joe for. And I don't like that as a straight swap. I don't think it's an upgrade.
What's that percentage on the Newcastle United interest? It's not in 100, is it? Oh, 10%. Thank God for that. I thought it was a possibility of transfer.
You thought it was 100.
Jesus Christ. I'm a fan of Billing. I like him, but I'm with you. I think he costs too much, and he's not Joe Linton. Nowhere near as good as Joe Linton. And we'd be wanting a higher quality player if Joe Linton was to leave. However, if Joe Linton was to stay, they'd still want too much money from him, wouldn't they, as a squad player? So no. Yeah.
If Joe Linton was to stay, we've got midfielders. We got very unlucky this year with injuries plus a gambling ban for a midfielder. We shouldn't generally, out of 20 seasons, you should only get one funny season like this with the midfield injuries. We've got 7 on the books. We don't need any more, especially if we keep everybody. We don't need another one. So I feel like the money would be better spent elsewhere. There's a lot of people that want other positions, unless we go in for a 6. But again, Eddie Howe seems to be saying that we have enough and we're not going for a 6. So, yeah, I don't think we go for a midfielder like this. I'd be shocked unless Big Joe leaves.
Jan says, Leao from AC looks like he wants to come. I don't know where you've seen that, Jan. I know we're linked with him in the press, but, I mean, some of the other teams that are into him, PSG as well, are after him. I think Liverpool also. Why would he choose Newcastle United? Even if we are after him. I'm not sure where you're getting that information from, but there you go. He's better than Kelly, says Paul.
A completely different position.
Is anyone having issues with the quality of the video? Well, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, Stephen Donaghy says, watch Kelly a few times. Wait until you see him in the tackle. You'll love him. I like him. I think he's a good player. Tristan said, every window we're linked with Eddie Howe's kid players and Newcastle have enough money to cover £540 million players, sorry. If PSR is removed this summer, but it isn't removed this summer. It just rolls over to the next one. So this summer we will lose the sum of 21's transfer window. And summer of 21, I believe, was that still Magpies, wasn't it? So we're not going to lose an awful lot from our FFP kind of ceiling, are we? At all?
Potentially not. I'm just looking at the agency of Philip Billing. So it's Roof. Roof are a German agency with 88 first-tier players on their books. Do we know anyone? Nobody that we've really dealt with recently. Mane, Max Aarons, Haidara, Fulkrug, Todd Campbell. No, not really. Nobody that we've really had any recent dealings with.
They've got a stable of some decent players there, haven't they? I mean, some of the ones we look at, we only know one of the names on them. I mean, we know a few of these. Naby Keita.
Yeah, it's a well-established agency, but still, they don't. There's nobody on there that we would know. That we know that the club have dealt with recently. That have joined or left. So.
One says, Manny Ganon. He does it in Geordie, all of his types. For great. Manny Ganon, Eddie getting a CDM. Because he actually want one. I'm sure Tonali was his picking midfield, allowing Bruno to move further forward.
Like I gave up on his Geordie, he started it and then just went.
Manny Ganon, Eddie getting a CDM, but he does actually want one. I'm sure Tonali was his. I'm off John Sinclair, so I'm not going any further with that. Billing is a J7 if you bought off Wish. I kind of agree with that. Philip Billing, he ain't standard to improve on any of the midfielders we have. He's a downgrade on J7, but who isn't good backup midfielder. Too expensive to be a backup midfielder there, isn't he? I would rather have Joe Linton than Billing. I think we all would. What do people think our summer budget will be? Well, we don't know, do we? I'm guessing it'll be similar to last year. Anyway, here's another ex-Bournemouth player that we couldn't really have in the squad. Callum Wilson. Any reason?
Well, I mean, it's just the theme of the show, isn't it? With cherries.
He ain't broke that as well as he.
He's broken everything else. To be honest, I feel a little bit harsh with the treatment of him. I understand when people get frustrated when there's a muscle injury, but if he gets into a wrestling match and gets injured by Niakate, that's not his fault. I feel like that's a bit harsh. He's not injured right now because of his injury record. He got assaulted by somebody very strong. Like, I don't know if that's his fault. I don't think it is. I think that's unfair.
Hang on, let's just address this. King Hodley didn't say to start for you. Just say you'd be a Spurs type signing. Didn't say to start for you. You have rolled him, no doubt about it. Can we still loan players from Saudi League for next season? Who knows? Who knows what will happen between now and then? Sorry, Philip. We want to keep Big Joe. Good versatile player, a real handful, but he's a downgrade. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, you win. Triggered, he says. If Joe Linton should be an upgrade, it needs to be a top side, and yeah, you're going to have to spend a lot of money on him. Crazy how we're all terrified of J7 leaving. Mad turnaround. I don't think he will leave anyway. I
hope not. Well, the reason we're looking at Callum is just if he goes. I mean, oh my, what? There's an Arsenal rumour floating around. I've not seen that. I don't know if anybody has seen any Arsenal rumours, but according to Transfermarkt, he's going to Arsenal. Okay. Yeah. If he ends up going, I mean, I don't think we should let him go at all. I think we should bring in a young wide forward who's versatile, who we can develop, keep Callum as a rotation option. So we've got 3 players who can play in that position. That would be my preference because he is still contracted until 2025. However, what are we this year? 23, 24, and then next year's 24, 25. So in the summer, it'd be his last year, his final year on his contract. So if we wanted anything from him transfer value wise, it'd have to be in the summer unless we do an extension. But then obviously the older he gets, the less money you're ever going to get for him. So in the summer, could we get a cheeky 15 million from someone? Possibly, yeah. I don't think we paid that much for him. What did we pay for him? 20?
20, yeah.
Yeah, 20. So I reckon we could get close to what we originally paid for him, to be completely honest. And then Andy Ford has just taken it right out of my mouth. Swapsies. Would there be the potential for any swapsies with any kind of Solanke, Billing? Obviously, Lloyd Kelly's a free. It does open up a very interesting conversation as to would would it be used as a bargaining chip potentially? Or do we just let him see out the final year of his contract in the following season and use him as a backup player? You know, I'm sure he's a great leader. He's a great guy to have around. He's been here for a long time. Or do we try and get a transfer fee for him in the summer?
It's a big question. I'd like to see him as our third choice striker next season. I've got to be honest. I think he's fantastic for a game a month, if need be. Cup games, game a month, cover injuries. He'll still score goals if he's fit, of course. But if he's playing less, then there's more likely of him being fit. So I'd like to see him as our third choice. But if someone coming with a £20 million bid for him, I'd drive him to the Blue Airport myself, even though I can't drive. So yeah, look, the Mighty Win says we should be having a word with Kelly, Billing, and Solanke on the tunnel and saying, "Hey, you could be here in the summer and playing Champions League, so have a stinker today." I think they'll turn around and say, "Champions League? This is St James's Park, not White Hart Lane, Tottenham Stadium." But still, I don't think Champions League's in our remit this year, if I'm perfectly honest. We haven't had a big enough squad to rotate this year. These are great additions that we could comfortably play in the Cups and bring on for the final 15 minutes of the game. Exactly.
Well, all rotation. If we do qualify for a European competition, we're going to need a lot more depth.
Yeah. So, look, Jim makes a good point. Still a lot of sponsorship deals to be had. Stadium naming, training ground naming, and training kit sponsor. Yes, if we're allowed to. I mean, they try to hinder our progress at every given opportunity, don't they? The so-called Big Six. But, I mean, they're getting a few more opponents to their kind of way of thinking now, aren't they? I think there's 7 clubs at the latest.
Well, because you've got quite a lot of clubs that are on the cusp of being able to push and they just can't do it. You've got Villa that are quite close, knocking on the door.
Yeah,
we've been doing it. I feel like West Ham are kind of there in that they obviously won the Conference League and that they've kind of been teetering on that kind of, we're there but not quite level. There's a few of them knocking on the door, and there are restrictions, and it's frustrating for them.
Actually, I like coffee. I can't do a poll for the chat, but thanks for misleading our viewers. Never mind. Is Pauline doing the commentary now? No, he's not. No, he'll be back hopefully Thursday. No to Billing, says Southern Geordie. That's why Everton are being done twice. FFP is always the last 3 rolling years. Exactly.
Hang on a minute. I'm really confused at this. Can I just bring a comment up? Because Right. So another person is saying it's the end of a 3-year cycle and there's a fresh 3-year cycle that starts. Am I complete? Have I been listening to the wrong stuff? I'm starting to question myself now. I'm 99.9% sure it's a rolling 3-year period, right? Are we wrong? Have we got that wrong?
I think it's rolling.
I've always worked under the assumption it was a rolling 3-year period. There is no at the end of this year we just start afresh.
Well, if that was the case, every 3 years you'd have a massive trillion kind of transfer windows. Doesn't happen.
I don't think that's right, Stephen. I think that's it's a rolling thing, and all we do is lose the final year and we gain a new one. That's how it works. And
until we start losing our new owners' years, then we're going to be beyond the 8 ball. This one now, 21 summer, will be the last one of Ashley's, wouldn't it? Will it?
What was our 2020? So what was it, 2021 or 21-22?
21-22 season, wasn't it? So no, we've got another year of it, haven't we?
So hang on a minute. What are we now? What do they include?
23-24. So it'll be 24-25 when it next season.
Are they including 23-24 right now? Because it's an ongoing season, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're including that. So we include the 23-24, 22-23, and a 21-22.
Yeah.
So the 21-22 is what we will lose.
That's actually last summer, isn't it? Is it?
I'll have a look.
When did they take over? It was October 22, wasn't it? So it was 22-23 season was last season. No, 21-20. No, it's right. Yeah, it's right. It's 3 years this year, so 2021 they came, wasn't it?
No, 21-22, we got... That was the takeover, so that included Bruno coming in as well in the January.
Yeah.
And Trippier. So I don't know if you want to show it. I think this was our transfer business, arrivals-wise. So if we're right, I hope that makes sense. I think that's right. Some people are saying it's calendar year. I can't be bothered. I'll just show you what was in that season, because I'm not sure. I think surely it's season. It can't be calendar year. That's bonkers. So these are the ins. 42 on Bruno, 30. Oh, Christ, I forgot about that. 30 on Chris Wood. We got most of it back. It's fine. 30 on Joe Willock. I think it was less than that. These are in euros.
25, wasn't it?
Dan Burn, Kieran Trippier. We got the loan of Matt Target. Obviously, we made that permanent at the end of the next season's figures. And then what did we do departure-wise? We didn't make any money. Oh, God. Well, undisclosed fee for Florian Lejeune when he went to Alaves. So,
couple of million tops, wasn't it?
I mean, that's tragic. The fact that total market value of departures was 52 million euros and we made probably bugger all from it. That's horrifying. Oh, no. RIP Christian Atsu as well. That's horrible. Yeah, so we lost Muto at that point as well. Yeah, so we didn't make any money. That's probably why that it doesn't look very good in the books, because we've made absolutely sod all in the outgoings for that year, and we paid quite a lot by our standards at that point in the incomings. Difficult, and then obviously it'll be the following season that starts to matter. So, hence why free transfers can be important.
Right, so people are saying this is PIF's third year. It was stated on Sky Sports as we were in the third season. That's right, yeah. So the first season will go, won't it? So the first season of PIFs will go. So we have got a bit more wiggle room.
A little bit.
A rolling 3 year, 105 million loss. They're going to improve. Apparently, they're going to increase 105 rolling 3 years. So yeah.
Everybody's got completely different opinions. It's hilarious. Nick says it runs July to June, which I think is probably more accurate. People saying it's calendar year. Some people saying PSR resets for every Premier League club in the summer. Where does it say that? Where is it?
This is it. Jace rightly didn't. Yeah, the reason no one spends is because the COVID write-off seasons are dropping off. Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly. Great stat, says Poker Pater. Stephen says, guys, it's nothing to do with the years or Newcastle. It's the same for everyone. That's why no one spends in January. COVID, again. The COVID seasons are written off. So it'll either be seasonal year or tax year for the clubs. Be one of the two. It links to financial statements, as far as I know, which will be the 31st of December.
But some people are saying summer to summer. Some people are saying calendar year to December.
Losses for 21-22 standing at 70.7 million. So there's 35 on top of that then, basically. Joe Willock is coming down, has actually signed him in the summer from the season before the loan.
No, that's not true.
PSR resets for every Premier League club in the summer. It's not difficult. But 1 year it does, not for 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
It's on the right-hand side, Alex. I don't know what he's on about there. FFP runs July to June on a rolling basis. That sounds about right to me. George asking what you're drinking.
It is Cruz Campo from Sevilla.
No, drop that. Rabbit Inong says, why can't the FA just separate property assets from the players and wages assets, like two separate companies running? Therefore, an unscrupulous owner cannot load a club with debt. Interesting point. Very interesting point. No, it resets June. That's correct. Look, you will see in the summer as it's a new loss period.
It doesn't reset the 3 years, though. You lose a year. You don't lose all 3 years and start again. That's not how that works.
Yeah. Tristan says, from what I saw, we were allowed allowance because of Ashley's not spending, but we are close to FFP limit. Simon Jordan cleared up a while ago. Well,
I don't know if he cleared it up. It was well documented that was the reason. Like, yeah, he was correct, but he didn't clear it up personally. Everybody cleared it up. It was a thing.
New owners could spend a fortune on assets such as stadiums and training grounds with no risk. I agree with that. I don't think your training ground and your stadium should come under your player signings hamper that. I really don't. And Everton again screwed through right now, aren't they? and yet West Ham got a free stadium. How's that fair?
I was distracted by the comment.
My wife looks at me as if I was shitting her handbag after I said, "What about getting Carroll back till the end of the season?" Well, he's on contract in France, isn't he? Is it Amiens? So he couldn't even do that if he wanted to. Third year of PAF, maybe Sky will stop mentioning our new owners all the time. That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Tom's just said Victoria Malaga. I know, I found it in Sainsbury's like last month. I really like it. It's really good.
Dylan says apparently we're interested in Jonathan David. That'll impress Ryan. Ryan Realm. He's a massive fan.
Indeed.
Fellow Canuck. Isn't it funny how nobody knows what the FFP rules are? Just the PL screwing everybody else, but the lead 6. I believe there's a big chance to be in the 4th rank in the table. Well, this season, I don't think so. It's possible, but
it's possible. We've got to go on a really good winning run.
Paul Glantz thinks we can still finish 2nd. Amazing. My feeling is all over 30 players will go except Trips. I don't think Burn will go either, Young.
That's a lot. Hang on a minute. All players over 30 except Trips. So that's
Dubravka.
I mean that's goalkeepers, right, as well. So that's Pope, Dubravka, Gillespie, Cher, Lascelles, Dummett, Byrne. Who else you got? Matt Ritchie. Wilson. That's 9. So you're saying all those 9 are going to go? That's a lot of players. Definitely not. I don't think he meant to include goalkeepers in that potentially. But even so.
Billy says, "I'm getting a headache. Please stop." Yeah, I think I am too. Granny says it doesn't reset the furthest back year drops out the accounts and the new year's coming to the books. That's it, exactly right.
That's how I see it. Of how it works.
That's how I see it. That's how I see it, without a doubt. Anyway, we've come to the end of the show. Thank God. We've cherry picked Bournemouth. We've had an argument about FFP. Ab says, "I love how Sato just exposes the BS." Well, there you go. Let's answer this question. Do you think Fraser and Jamal Lewis will play with Newcastle next season? No. There's more chance of Lewis, I think, because I don't think he's really.
And they've both got contracts there. That's the problem. They won't play.
I think Fraser will leave. I think Fraser will leave.
I think it's a fair assumption that they won't play, but will they still be part of the club? Possibly, because they've still got another year on the end of their contracts. So,
yeah. If you enjoyed the stream, says Coffee, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button. It's free to do so. Feel free to use the super chat, feed chat, or become a member and help support the channel. That's the final point. And actually, Alison Maxman's just in. Just saying Newcastle United should look for loan moves in the Saudi League. What was that then, Maxi?
I agree.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, we have come to the end of the show. Thanks to everyone for watching. It's been a good laugh tonight. Even it's a serious kind of subject, and a lot of dissenters about the Bournemouth players that we seem to be after, whether they're linking that to Eddie Howe. I guess there's some truth in that. But we've looked at the 2 players, both very good players. One I think's okay for us, one I don't think is, but still both very good players. But thanks to you all for watching and taking your Tuesday nights to watch us. Hopefully we'll be back possibly Thursday. Not a lot going on at the minute, but we're certainly back Thursday for the Bournemouth preview, face Lads Friday, and then back to the match on Saturday.
Well, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, everybody. So happy Valentine's Day so to all the viewers.
I don't think we'll be doing a show tomorrow. People will be too busy kind of preening their partners and things like that. So until Thursday, I guess, I wish you all a very good night, and we shall see you Thursday.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check out some breeze.